Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, fish, lizards, women who really want me. You are now tuned in with the greatest of the greatest, the best of the absolute best, and that is myself. And on the line with me, ladies and gentlemen, Fran is going to be definitely rocking out with me on this video. Fran, how are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing great. Despite everything, I'm doing great.
All right, man. Now, hopping right into it. This video is probably going to be pretty lengthy, and this this character means a lot to me as a person who grew up with Spider-Man. It's a character that really means a lot to me and everything. And we've seen many many different versions of the character. And the first question I have for you, Fran, is: does the Amazing Spider-Man series get too much hate, in your opinion?
I mean, it does get a lot of hate. Maybe some of it it's not not fair, but some of the hate that it gets, it's some kind of true in there. Like some people hate it because Peter Parker is like a cool guy in high school and he's supposed to be a nerd and everything, and I get that, but I think that overall, because of the nostalgia of the trilogy that was before that, I think that people hated it too much. Like, you can enjoy them as Spider-Man movies with no problem. I mean, they have their flaws, as every movie, but they can be truly enjoyed. And I mean, if you want to go and nitpick every single thing that is wrong with the movie, you can do that, but you can also enjoy them, and they are pretty much enjoyable. Some other films are not, and these ones are because they are not that bad. So I think that, yeah, they get too much hate and they don't deserve it.
Mm, okay. And I see a lot of I think the one common theme, some of the common themes I see when people are bashing the Amazing Spider-Man series is, oh, it's a ripoff of Twilight. Oh, Andrew Garfield is creepy. Oh, Andrew Garfield is too good looking. Oh, the movies are too dark. What is your response to yes, they did say they were too dark. What is your response to people saying it's a Twilight ripoff? Andrew Garfield is a stalker. It's too dark. What's your response to that, friend?
I mean, if every if every single relationship in a comic book movie is going to be compared to Twilight, then every single fucking movie is Twilight. Like, are you kidding me? Like, they are in a relationship, and because they are in a relationship, it means that it is Twilight. Like, have you even seen Twilight to talk about that like that? Like, there's nothing like Twilight in there. I mean, and in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, people say what you said, like, yeah, because he's a creep, and he's stalking Gwen Stacy and this and that, and I'm just like, hey, listen, like, he's going through a hard time. He wants to be with her, but he can't. So sometimes, not every single hour, he's behind her. Like, sometimes when he's being a Spider-Man and he sees her, he tries to maybe watch over her, and that's like three
Right,
times in the movie. Three
right.
times. And he doesn't do anything creepy, he just stares at her and then leaves. And I don't know, if you think that the Amazing Spider-Man movies are dark, I don't know what to think about you. Like, if you think they are dark, I don't think that you've seen some gritty superhero movie ever. Because they are nothing but dark. Just because Gwen Stacy dies in the end doesn't mean that the movie is
Mhm.
dark. Like, it
Right.
is goofy, it has a lot of humor, stupid humor.
Hmm.
I mean, that's just hating because of the sake of hating. Because the movie has its flaws, the two of them have its flaws, and you can point them out, but you can't create false problems when you have those problems that you can talk about. It's just stupid.
Damn, you're already fired up,
Yeah, I'm
brother.
ranting. I'm
Uh,
ranting.
Go ahead, man. Let me ask you this. And this is something most I've seen in Spider-Man fandoms can agree upon. And it's something I definitely think hasn't been topped, even though we haven't really seen uh Tom Holland Spider-Man with the love interest yet. Would you agree that Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone had the best three?
I mean, they have like a really good chemistry because they were dating or something like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
like as real people, they do have a lot of good chemistry on screen, but as characters, I don't see it as much. I mean, I see them interacting with each other as Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, and not as Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. So
Mm.
I think that maybe Tobey Maguire in his trilogy he had better chemistry because you didn't feel like the actors knew each other or something like that. It was just development and character development, and you could see how their relationship started to grow over the three films and everything. And with the Amazing Spider-Man, it just casually happened in the first movie, like so fast. And I didn't see Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. I just saw Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone talking and interacting. I'm sorry, but that's what I think.
Damn. Damn. Okay. 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 Now let me ask you this, Fran, and I know these questions are already making the trolls hit the dislike button, but like I always say, that's fine. What are your thoughts on The Amazing Spider-Man 2 as a movie? And before you answer, Fran, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I was really amped to see that. I mean, Dane DeHaan was confirmed to be in the movie, Jamie Foxx as well. We knew Paul Giamatti was starring as Rhino. And early on, it looked promising. Uh, Once the movie came out, I was conflicted because I liked it, but I had a lot of problems with it. I thought they focused too much on the romance. I thought that they probably could have done without Rhino, even though that scene in the end with the kid dressed up as Spider-Man, I thought was a really neat scene. Uh, I did really like how they shot Gwen Stacy's death. I thought it was really well shot, and I thought that Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone did great in that scene. I do wish the fight with Goblin had been longer and not as this skate around the spider webs, hokey pokey dancing stuff. And Andrew Garfield, I thought he did better in that movie. I thought he was more Spider-Man in that movie. And yeah, Jamie Foxx, I think, needed more material. I didn't hate his performance. I just think he needed more material. And what else? Like I said, Rhino was just laughable in the wrong in a bad way. And I'm done talking about it. What did you think about it, brother?
I mean, I think that as a movie, it has its flaws, like pacing flaws. Like it's a little bit of a mess, but it is pretty enjoyable. Like you could see the movie without nitpicking. I mean, you can nitpick some things, but you can enjoy it as a film. Now, if you're gonna go and say this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong, I understand it because there are some flaws in it, like the pacing and the amount of villains. Like it's unnecessary. Like you have Rhino and you have the Green Goblin and you have Electro, and it's too many people in there. Like I don't understand why they did it, but that's something that really bothers me. Like because the end battle is like what is going on here. Like first you have Electro and you have Green Goblin that it only appears in the end, and then in the last scene you have Rhino, but you only see him for like 1 minute. I don't know. I mean, as a movie, I really enjoyed it. It had some really good things like the relationship between Peter and Gwen. I really enjoyed that one. I really felt when she died, but the rest of the film is like kind of a funny mess. Like you can have fun with the movie, but you can see that it's kind of a mess.
Right, right. Now, Fran, were you able to Did you ever see the deleted scenes from the Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, I mean, not so long ago I saw a video on YouTube that had like 10 or 12 minutes of deleted scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that
Well,
what yeah.
yeah. What was your sorry? What was your thoughts on the deleted scenes?
I mean, I think that they were going to add a lot to the story. Like I saw a
Mm-hmm.
shot of Andrew Garfield like in top of a building or something, like with a wire in his back, and you could see New York, and you could see him like mourning the death of Gwen and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I really liked that shot. And you know, there are other things that I understand why they didn't get it in the movie, like when his father is alive. That
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, that's a no-no. Like that was like a plane crash. It is impossible that he's alive. So I really like that they didn't include that in the movie, but there were some other shots and scenes that were pretty cool, and I don't really understand why they weren't in the movie. It's like a BBS 2.0. Like you cut out a lot of the good stuff. The movie doesn't make that much sense. People hate it, and you get fucked up in the box office and by the critics. And because of studio middling, that we all know what happens when the studio get their hands on a movie.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now let me ask you this, Fran, and we're gonna move take it a little further back now. When you look back at the Raimi trilogy, what are your thoughts on it now?
I love it, man. Like Spider-Man was like my childhood hero, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, like I saw Spider-Man 2 without exaggerating like 50 times on DVD. Like when I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid, my parents bought me the DVD player just for that movie, and I just
Mm-hmm.
loved the fuck out of those movies. Like the CGI for the time was amazing. The story was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What made those movies amazing was how good the character development was, how good the character interactions were, how good the villains were. I mean, of course, in the third one there were some things that they weren't that good, but the first two movies are amazing. Like that's pure comic book movie that maybe we are not going to see anything like that, because it was able to incorporate like the cheesiness of comic
Mm-hmm.
books into movies. That's something like really difficult. So I really enjoyed that. And overall I think that they are pretty good movies because of the characters, not the action, not the CGI, not the stunts, anything like that, because the human interaction is really good.
Mm. Okay. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about Spider-Man 2, man. Now, Spider-Man 2, I love Spider-Man 2. Like that to me is up there. When I think about my favorite comic book movies, the Ultimate Edition of BVS, Logan, Days of Future Past, X2, uh what else? The Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Black Panther. Oh, it's because he's black. Black Panther. Uh those Blade 2, those movies, Spider-Man 2 is definitely up there. Um why do you feel that Spider-Man 2 is one of those sequels, like another movie I left out, The Dark Knight, that was so successful at surpassing the original?
I mean, I think that it has something in relationship on what I said before about character development and the characters. Like when you are watching
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man 2, you are not rooting for Spider-Man, you are rooting for Peter Parker. Like you see him struggle, you see him struggle in his economic life, in his family life, in his relationships
Mm-hmm.
with MJ, and his relationship with the Green Goblin. And that's the thing, like the movie, it's so good because you see the redemption of Peter Parker. Not You don't see the redemption of Spider-Man. Like you see this kid whose life is a mess, and you see him like
Mm-hmm.
embrace himself as what he is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like going through all these difficulties, like stopping being Spider-Man and everything. But you see him success, over all negativity in his life and finally embrace who he is. And I think that's what makes his movie so good. And also a little nitpick, the score for the primary score for Spider-Man 2 is like one of the best scores I've ever seen. Like, I can't understand how Elfman did that and then did what he did with Justice League. Like, I can't really understand. I mean, I can hear the title music of Spider-Man 2 over and over and over, and I will never understand how he was able to do that and then do the mess that he did with Justice League.
Damn. Okay, let me ask you this, Fran. Do you feel that Spider-Man 3 gets too much hate? And again, I was Spider-Man 3, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I was really amped to see that movie back in 07. 07 was the year of third movies with Shrek the Third, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Spider-Man 3 though, that to me was going to be the movie of that summer. I saw it, and even in my younger years, at the time, I thought that it was really overstuffed. It had some really good moments, like I really like that scene in the end where Spider-Man, he has his original suit and he's running in front of the American flag, about to go face off against Sandman and Venom and everybody. Seeing him and Harry / New Goblin team up, I thought that was pretty neat. But it didn't quite hit the same way that Spider-Man 2 did. And I know Avi Arad, apparently pushed Venom into the movie, and initially Sam Raimi didn't want him in the movie. What do you think that Spider-Man 3 gets too much hate, brother?
I mean, I think that it does get a lot of hate that maybe it's unnecessary, but I can see why people are angry about the film. Like, when I saw it, I was like really young and I didn't see like the flaws in it. I was like really enjoying the movie. But when I saw it like in the later years, I can understand why people hate it, because the second one was like really good and they were expecting something better, and it clearly wasn't. It wasn't better than the second one. But that said, overall, in my opinion, is like what happens with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like a really enjoyable movie. Like, it has some pretty amazing scenes, like when he's fighting Harry at the beginning, what you said when they team up at the end, like the ending battle, in my opinion, is like really good. And I don't know, there were some scenes with the Venom suit that were amazing. Like when he first gets the suit, the score was amazing. That's one of the best scenes in the trilogy. Now, that said, I can understand why people hate it. Like, they didn't really need to get Venom in the movie. I don't understand the new romance between Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker when he married. I mean, there's some things that you can't really understand, but when you start knowing about what happened behind the scenes, you can see that again for the 100th time. Studio meddling. They fucked up Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi didn't want to get Venom in the movie because he said that he didn't really understand it. They pushed him and he compromised. Never compromised, not even in the face of Armageddon. And that was like, I mean, he even himself calls the movie like his worst job or something like that. That's what I heard in an interview. I mean, it's enjoyable, but overall you can see that it's kind of a mess. Like, everything is so rushed up. There's so many villains. There are some things that don't make sense. But it's a movie that if you forget those things and put them aside, you can really enjoy. I mean, at least you can enjoy it, not like with movies like Justice League, that you put those things aside of what happens behind the scenes and you can see the movie and you're like, what the fuck is this fucking shit? But,
I get that, man. Studio interference, it's definitely something that's in my opinion, destroyed a lot of movies. Obviously, Justice League being one, coming off the top of the head, Fantastic by Josh Trank. Apparently, his cut was vastly different from the mess we saw in theaters after the first 40 minutes to an hour. Like we just talked about earlier, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a lot different. I think Andrew Garfield spoke that said that they started taking things out as they were filming the movie that were crucial, in his opinion, crucial to the movie. And going like he said, Spider-Man 3. Studio meddling is never really uh, a good thing, and I just wish that if they were they would realize that if they hire these people, they need to just let him or her do their job. That's another video. Moving on, friend, let me ask you this, and this is definitely going to cause some butt hurt, depending on how you or I choose to answer. Do you feel that Tobey Maguire was better than Andrew Garfield, or vice versa? And the reason I ask that is because I often see, Andrew Garfield was a good Spider-Man, but a bad Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire was a not so good Spider-Man, but a great Peter Parker. Um, Coming from somebody that's read a lot of the Ultimate, and I guess that's my problem with the dislike button. I resonated a little bit more with Andrew's Spider-Man. I've always felt that if he had been paired with a better director like a Sam Raimi, and I feel like if those movies had came out first, that the reception will probably be a little bit different than what we see now. That's just me though. But I did really like Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man 2, and you hit a lot of what I loved about the movie and everything, and the big thing being uh, it being about Peter Parker needing to be redeemed. All that said, who do you feel was the best between those two?
Josh, we're gonna have a problem here, man. You can't
Uh-oh.
say that Andrew Garfield is better than Tobey Maguire. You just can't, man. Like fucking hell. Like me, I mean, if you're talking about, like comic book adaptation and everything, you just can't. Like Andrew Garfield is like the little fuckboy of the school that gets all the girls and he goes skating around. I mean, and going on the bullies and everything, and I don't know, man. Like, then you see like Tobey Maguire. He's like this. He has the nerdy face, and he's like shy, and he's like really nervous around girls and everything. I'm just like, that's Peter Parker, man. That's him. Like Peter Parker doesn't go skating around high school like, oh yeah, look at me, and I'm antisocial, and I get all the girls and everything. I mean, that's not fucking Spider-Man, man. Like, I mean, I understand. Okay, what happened?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Right.
You said I understand.
I mean, I can understand that people enjoy him because he had some really good things, but overall, I think that Tobey's Spider-Man is 100 times better, man. Like as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. Like he had I mean he had a lot of iconic scenes of any Spider-Man movie. Like when he first swings, when he throws away the suit, when he defeats Doc Ock and he's without the mask, and those shots are amazing, man. Like Andrew Garfield is a really good actor, and I know that he's like a really good fan of Spider-Man, and he tried his best and everything, and I respect that. But if you are going to compare them, I think that Tobey Maguire is 100 times better.
Damn.
We're gonna have a problem, Josh. I told you.
I mean, man, I guess it's just me. I see a lot of myself more in Andrew Spider-Man. Maybe and maybe it's more along the lines of, he's tall, awkward. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does get Gwen Stacy, and yeah, I can kind of relate to talking to a girl, being that trying to be cool, but everything I says comes out really awkwardly, and I'm kind of stammering. I don't really stalk women and watch them and shit like that, and I don't look I don't do all that shit, so I can't relate to that. But I guess for me, man, it's just I relate a little bit. I resonate a little bit more with Andrews, and to some degree Tom's. Uh, and I guess for me, man, I think I don't know. I like I enjoy the Raimi films. I love Spider-Man too, but I don't know, man. I think between the two, I think just it's just for me is Tom, Andrew, and then Toby. Don't punch me, bro. Don't punch me.
I'ma throw hands at you, Josh. We don't have a problem.
Okay, so let me ask you this, friend. This initially wasn't part of it. Let me ask you this. Did you what do you feel was the biggest flaw in Andrew's performance as Spider-Man when you compare it to Toby?
That he's like the school's fuckboy. He's not Spider-Man. Like it's what I said. Like Spider-Man doesn't go around skating and being antisocial and confronting the bullies and making fun of them, and then go to the girl and be like super extrovert and everything, and getting the girl on the first date and everything. Like that's not fucking Spider-Man, man. Like Spider-Man is a little nerdy guy that over time gets confidence on himself, but that's what I don't understand. Like as Spider-Man, he's really good, Andrew Garfield, because he has like some really good lines and everything. But as Peter Parker, man, he doesn't sell the part, like not one bit. Like I don't understand who was the guy who was making that movie and said, yeah, let's get Peter Parker on a skateboard. That's gonna make him connect to the fans a lot. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro?
So basically, if I'm hearing you correctly, you think Andrew Garfield's portrayal of Peter Parker is a fuckboy?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's like the cool guy of the school. If he talked to more girls, he will be getting more girls. Like I don't know.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, just look at his look. He's like, yeah, antisocial and having the hoodie on and the skateboard and this and that and the gloves, and I'm just like, that's not Peter Parker, man. Like Peter Parker is like this classy white dude, like, you know. It's I don't know. I don't understand it.
All right, man. Damn, this is like the first time in history we've ever disagreed. Plot twist of the century. Now, let me ask you this, brother, and this may be our second time. Emma Stone was better than Kirsten Dunst, or vice versa?
I wanna hear your take first. Bro, I'm not going to jump into conclusions. I want to hear your opinion first.
I mean, I don't hate Kirsten Dunst. I think in the first movie and I think in the first two movies they had good to really good chemistry, and I think that scene in the alley. Hold on, that scene in the alley. You know what scene I'm talking about? That was a really steamy sequence, and it was so steamy. The first one, you know, when she's kissing him when he's hanging upside down as Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and I think in the second one, that's the second movie, man. That's a really, 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 really great movie, man. But I really like everything that he went through and did for her in the second movie. You know, even with Dr. Octavius and everything. But in the third movie, I don't know, man. It just threw me off. And you and everybody else can hate the Amazing Spider-Man movies, but I'm gonna tell everybody something. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, they were the best, man. I'm sorry, they were the best. Like, I can accept people ragging the films for having flaws, but I believe I bought their chemistry more as a whole than I did Kirsten and Toby. And I think especially in the third movie, like something just was off for me. I don't know, maybe it was just me, but it just fell off. You know, maybe it was the black suit and him, getting Bryce Dallas Howard, aka Gwen Stacy at the time. But Yeah, and yeah, Andrew and Emma win for me, bro.
I mean, first of all, I don't hate the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I just have like problems with them. I don't want
No, bro.
people telling like, "Oh my God, you're a hater" and this and that. No, shut up, now. Like I just have problems with it, like I have with the original trilogy, like I said before with the Spider-Man 3. So chill the fuck out right now. And the other one is that I prefer like the relationship between Toby and what's her name now?
Kirsten Dunst.
Kristen Dunst. I'm sorry, yeah. I mean, I prefer the relationship because I understand what you say, and I think that the chemistry as persons is better between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield. But it's what I said before in the video, like they feel like they are not acting, like they feel like a real couple. You don't see Spider-Man or Peter Parker filtering with Gwen Stacy. You see Andrew Garfield filtering with Emma Stone.
Emma Stone. Okay.
I mean, I understand. I think that they do have better chemistry, but they have better chemistry because they are not acting their characters; they are acting themselves. And I prefer Toby and Kirsten because the overall character development is so much better. Like when she kisses Peter in the last scene of the first one, when he's like, "This is my fate. I am Spider-Man," and everything. When when she kissed him, and she realized that he was a Spider-Man, and he's like willing to make the sacrifice to not hurt her, to go on and embrace who he is. And then when she's about to marry this military guy in the second one, and she runs away and she goes to his apartment, like that whole scene is fucking amazing. Not because she gets the girl and they are happy together, but because of the consequences that has. Like when he goes off and he's like swinging around the city, you can see in her face like the, I don't know how to say it, like like she doesn't know what's going to happen. Like she knows that she wants to be with him, but in her face you can read that she's not so sure about it, and she's like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. And I think that they did that in purpose to expand more their relationship. And that's why I prefer them, because it's their characters who grow and who are talking and making decisions and working out their relationship. But between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy in the Amazing Spider-Man, they are like two normal people filtering. Like Peter Parker is so like comfortable around girls, like he goes and has dinner at her house, and he's alone with her in the balcony, and he's like all extrovert and this and he haha, and that's like, man, that's not Spider-Man, that's not Peter Parker. Like that's what I said, that's a little fuckboy.
Damn, bro. You killing me, man. You killing me.
I said what I said.
Okay, let me provide another defense, friend. Would you say that the reason you said that you bought that Toby and Kirsten weren't just like Andrew and Emma, they weren't just like really dating. Would you say that would you think that you would still feel the same way if Andrew and Emma weren't like the second Spider-Man? Would you feel the same? Would you feel the same way if it was the first Spider-Man?
Well, maybe not, because I was I was much younger and I haven't read comics back then. I mean, right now in retrospect,
you don't know.
Hey, come on now, let me explain. Like, when I saw the first movies, like with the ones with Toby, I didn't really know anything about Spider-Man. But right now, if the Amazing Spider-Man movies were first and maybe the trilogy was second, I will be saying the same thing. And let me explain. And you might say, why?
Go
but
ahead,
you
bro.
didn't know. I mean, now that I'm more of an adult and I have read more comics and seen more videos and everything, I can surely say that I can kind of know the personality that Peter Parker has. And if you have like the minimal conception of what's his personality, you see those scenes in Amazing Spider-Man and you're like, that's not Peter Parker. He is a great Spider-Man, but he is not Peter Parker. As simple as that. Like, if you read the comics, Peter is like this nerdy guy with glasses, and he wears these like kind of old clothes, and he's shy, and in the movies, in the Amazing Spider-Man, is what I said. Like, he doesn't really look like him. He doesn't act like him. I don't know. That's just what I think.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Fran and I are not beefing or nothing like that. We're just having a simple disagreement on something that we feel differently about. This is not round 4 of Def Jam fight for comic book movies. This is not a beef or nothing like that. We just disagree on something, and we're giving reasons as to why we disagree calmly. Now, Fran, moving on, let me ask you this, and I promise you after this we're gonna stop talking about it. Do you view the Amazing Spider-Man 2 as more of a financial failure or a cinematic failure? The reason I asked that, Fran, is because apparently, from what we were told, Sony was banking on the Amazing Spider-Man 2 to make basically $1 billion. They apparently spent not only a lot on the movie itself, but they apparently spent a lot on promoting the film, and to make back what they spent, it would have took $1 billion. Do you view it more as a financial failure or a cinematic failure?
I mean, financial failure in the sense of the studio. So I really don't care about that. Like, like, it's the studio, you know. I don't care about the money that the studio makes. I want to know if the movie is good or not. Like, because the studio doesn't care about us. Like, they pretend they care, but they don't. So I think that it is more of a cinematic failure, but not because it is that bad, but because I don't care that it is a financial failure. Like, Blade Runner 2049 made like 300 million or something like that, and it's an spectacle of a film. So I don't care about what the studio makes or doesn't make. I just want to see good movies. So in this case, I think that it is a cinematic failure, but not because it is that bad, but because I don't care about the studio. So now, that said, it's not a cinematic failure. Like, it is not that great of a movie. It is a little bit messy. There are some things that should have been changed, but overall, it's a great movie. Like, it's not comparable, alright? Because I think that BBS is like a masterpiece, but it's kind of what happened with BBS. Like, maybe the studio didn't make enough money as they wanted. At the same that happened with Spider-Man, and they said, okay, we're not going to make the third one because we didn't reach the $1 billion, and now we're gonna like fuck the film up, as in BBS, as in The Amazing Spider-Man, by cutting parts of the film that are essential to the plot and for the continuity of the film, and then we're gonna blame the director and the actors involved because we made wrong decisions. I think that they are like pretty comparable. I mean, BBS is 100 times much better than The Amazing Spider-Man, but it's all so similar. Like, it amazes me. It really amazes me how similar the situations are. Like, they didn't make the billion, so they fired the director and they reboot it and give it to Marvel. And the same thing happened with BBS. They don't get the billion, they start doubting Zack Snyder, they make him shoot his film and then fire him. It's like the same story repeated. And what I don't understand is that studios don't seem to see that every time that they get involved within a movie, like too much involved, they fucked it up and they get low critics and low money. It's something that I just can't understand. It's something that happens continuously, all the time.
This is your show today, my brother. This is your show. This is your
I'm
show
going
today.
off, Josh. I'm going off today, man.
Let me ask you this, Fran, and that was the last one of the next to last The Amazing Spider-Man questions. Let me ask you this. What to you is the best aspect of Spider-Man Homecoming?
I don't know. I'm gonna need to think about it for a moment. I mean, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I know. The villain, like the Vulture, he was like fucking amazing. Like he was like really, really good. But regarding Spider-Man, that's a no. I mean, the suit was like really bad because it was all CGI. I didn't see Peter Parker. I only see like a baby that Tony Stark is taking care of. And I don't see any love interests that in the end pay off. I don't know, man. Like there's nothing. I mean, the movie itself is not bad. Like I enjoy the film, but there's nothing in there that I say, oh my god, that's so Spider-Man. And because the suit is good, or his Peter Parker is good. I mean, his Peter Parker is good, but it's just like okay. And his Spider-Man, I mean, yeah, he's good if you compare it to the Ultimate comics, the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. Yeah, he's really like him, but overall, I don't see anything different, anything special that I go like, oh wow, look at that scene, or look at that dialogue, or I think that the Vulture steals the show. I think that he steals the film.
Okay, Fran, you kind of talked about this, but let me ask you this to get some clarification for the viewers. Would you say, because this is something the fanboys immediately went to Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else after Captain America Avengers 2.5 came out back in 2016. Would you say that Tom Holland is the best Peter Parker and Spider-Man?
No. Like, I think that that's simple. Like, no, I mean, I think that he does a great job in terms of the MCU, like what they've built. I think that he does a really good job, but I don't know. I mean, as Peter Parker, like, yeah, he's alright, but he doesn't bring anything special to the table. And as Spider-Man, yeah, he has some really good lines and funny lines and what basically Spider-Man is, but everything is like a rip-off. Like when the scene of the ship, when he's like holding the ship together, that's like, okay, that's from Spider-Man 2. And the only memorable thing as Spider-Man that is mixed with Peter Parker is when he lifts all the building that the Vulture dropped on him. Like he's like, come on, Spider-Man, or something like that. He lifts it. That's like, okay, that's alright, but overall his performance didn't bring anything special to the table. And I think that having Tony Stark appearing all the time in the movie didn't really help. Because Spider-Man has always grown by himself and getting punched in the face and learning from mistakes. And in that movie, it's like, I'm going to die, Tony Stark is here. This happened, Tony Stark is here. That happened, Tony Stark is here. That's something that really dropped me off the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of more forgiving of it after I saw Infinity War, ironically enough. But yeah, initially I wasn't too keen on Iron Man being in the movie. I'm like, this is Spider-Man's first movie in the MCU. Like, why does he need Iron Man? And I don't hate Iron Man, but I'm just like, why does he need Iron Man? Even though Iron Man kind of ushered Peter into the MCU. I'm like, why? But that's another discussion. And friend, you've been flaming the shit out of Spider-Man Homecoming, something that would make MCU fanboys really bash their keyboard. Let me ask you this. What do you feel Homecoming could have done better as a movie?
I think that they should have left Tony Stark alone. I think that they should have had like a much better suit. Like they overused CGI. Like some parts of the movie were like, he's not even there. Like that's like some CGI animation and that's it. And maybe, I don't know, maybe having Ben Parker, like maybe like they said we don't want to tell the same story all over again and him getting shot and everything. But I think that we needed that iconic phrase of with great power comes great responsibility. Like Spider-Man is that, so not having it in the film, like you could have had Aunt May say it or something like that, and I would have been fine. But
Hi May.
yeah, that's something that I don't really understand. Like, if you follow my Twitter or something like that, you will know that I'm no social justice warrior or something like that. But things like when they are in the movie and the Chinese restaurant, they give them like a plate or something, and they are like, yeah, they really liked you or something like that. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, what's going on here? I don't really understand it. I don't see Aunt May giving him like those amazing advices that she gave Peter in the original trilogy. Like the speech when she tells Peter in Spider-Man to like hold on a little longer and there's a hero in all of us and things like that. In this one's is like, oh, look at her, she's hot and that's it. Like she's friends with Tony Stark, oh wow, and that's it. They totally misused her character.
Damn. You roasted the fuck out of Homecoming, bro.
I mean, it's a movie that I enjoy, but there's a lot of things that don't make fucking sense.
Now let me ask you this, friend, and I know I promised I was done, but I forgot I had this question. Which villain from the Amazing Spider-Man movies did you enjoy the most?
Probably the Lizard, but not really because he was that good, but because he was like the one that was most developed. Like in Amazing Spider-Man 2, there were so many villains that they were not developed enough, so I don't really connect with them. And I'm choosing the Lizard because he was the one that was like most developed, but not because he was like kind of amazing or anything like that.
Okay. And you kind of touched on this with what we were talking about with Homecoming. Let me ask you this, just for clarification for the viewers. Would you consider Vulture to be one of the best MCU villains?
Yeah, totally. Like, if you compare him to other MCU villains, he's totally like top 3, top 5. Like, I think that Thanos is like top 1, but he was really good, really good.
Okay. Now, friend, this next question is also going to make people shift in their seat, as it's currently Black History Month in America and everything. Now, does Miles Morales, in your opinion, have a future in the MCU, or is he better suited in animated form?
Well, I think that if they handle it right, you can have it in a really good way in animated form, and you can have it in a really good way in film form. Like, you can introduce him into the MCU if you introduce him correctly. Everything is about how you introduce him and how you handle the character. If you want to make another Homecoming 2.0, then don't introduce him. But if you're gonna introduce him as a really good character, well developed as the animated film did, then I'm totally on for it.
Okay. Now, friend, let me ask you this: what are your thoughts on Into the Spider Verse? I personally really loved Into the Spider Verse. I think it's up there with the top three Spider-Man films. Spider-Man 2 being still to me. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I'd say Spider-Man 2 is probably first. Into the Spider Verse is probably second. Third is kind of a toss up, so we'll just leave that one be for right now. What did you think about Into the Spider Verse, brother?
I mean, I saw like those 2 or 3 minutes that were in the post-credits scene on Venom, and I when I saw it, I was like, I don't really like this, and I went to see the Into the Spider-Verse because of a friend,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw it and I was amazed by it. Like I really enjoyed it. Like the character
Mm-hmm.
development, the way they treated Peter Parker, the way they treated Miles Morales. When
Mm-hmm.
when it ended, I was like, I want more. Like I would have been in the cinema seated for another half an hour with no problem. Like I think that is an spectacular movie. Like it's amazingly well done, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that the way they handled all the incarnations of Peter Parker, it
Mm-hmm.
was amazing, man. Like I really enjoyed that movie.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, Brandon. I think I know the answer because you kind of probably just answered it, but I just want to make sure. What is the one thing aside from the animation that you feel Into the Spider Verse did better than all of the Spider Man films combined?
I think that what it did best is introducing new a lot of new characters in a way
Mm-hmm.
that it doesn't make the story a mess. Like
Mm.
in Spider-Man 3 we had a lot of characters and it was kind of a mess of a movie. In the Amazing Spider-Man 2 we had a lot of characters and it was kind of a mess. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that they handled it really good, the way of having like 5 or 6 protagonists in the film. I mean, of course Miles
Mm-hmm.
Morales has more screen time, but overall I think that the interactions between them and the total screen time that every single one of them had was handled in a perfect way. That's what I think that they did better than all the other Spider-Man films.
Mic drop. All right, friend. Let me ask you this, man. Which villain from the Raimi trilogy did you enjoy the most? And I'm gonna just go ahead and say it, Doctor Octopus. What about you, brother?
I think that the Green Goblin from the first one, like
Mm-hmm.
the whole story that they have together, and I mean, kind of the cheesiness that he has acting when he says something like, "We'll meet again, Spider-Man" or something like that. That's really
Uh-huh.
good. Like I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the design of the character.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the final battle, how brutal it is, how he's like a master manipulating people, and he's like, I was like a father to you, and this and that, and he wanted to kill him. I think that he's the best one because of the performance of William Dafoe and the relationship between between Peter and Osborn. I think that they handled it so well that when the final confrontation happened, you were really involved in these two characters. I think that Doc Ock did an amazing performance too. I think that he was really good, but overall I prefer Green Goblin.
Okay. Okay. Now let me ask you this. uh, do you think the Raimi films, aside from Spider-Man 2, would be received as well if they released today? If they released today?
Mm, Probably not. Like because of some things that it has. Like maybe the first one with the like how is it called? The screamer that maybe the screamer that the Green Goblin has on Spider-Man when the building is on fire, and those
Mm-hmm.
guys that are like trying to rob slash rape made MJ. They will be like, that's so dark because everything is so dark. There's no fun in this is like, oh my god. And maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and also the second one. I think that they will be bashing the second one too. Like, this is no fun. You only see Peter struggling, and now he's Spider-Man no more. I want to see Spider-Man kicking ass. you know. I mean, Spider-Man 2 overall is Peter Parker's journey, so most of the film there's no, I mean, there's action of course, but most of the film there's no action. There's struggle and bad decisions, and you see people going through hard times, and right now critics don't want to see that, so they will be bashing the movie as it's no fun. It's too dark, it's too gritty, where's the jokes?
Yeah. You and I, friend, we've been doing this for well over a year. We've gone at these critics, and this initially wasn't part of the video, but something you and I have both said like a gazillion. I've lost count of how many times you and I have said this. It's simple. Go see the movie. If you see the trailer, you're gonna decide, okay, I want to see this movie. Okay, I don't want to see this movie. Captain Marvel, I'm not gonna go see it in theaters. I'll watch it when it comes out on digital or whatever. Shazam, I'm gonna go see that movie because I've been wanting to see Shazam for the longest. I like David Sandberg. I think he's a very talented filmmaker, and I want to see it. I have a genuine interest in it. Captain Marvel turned me off. Cue the the dislikes. If you want to go see the movie, fine. If you don't, fine. Why are you holding so much stock into what Rotten Tomatoes, a Twitter user by the name of Jeremy Conrad, who's a snake and a bitch?
He got me
why
blocked.
Are you holding?
Yeah,
why are you holding?
Talk to him. Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, you're good, bro. Why are we as people putting so much faith in so much of what we believe in what somebody else has to say about a movie? Think. You have a brain. You have an enabler for a reason. Think. And that's all I gotta say about that, friend. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean that.
Before we move on.
That Jeremy Conrad guy, like I've never interacted with him, like I've never mentioned him or anything like that. And when he went off, and when people were accusing him of, mistreating women and having security cameras recording other employees and insights that they shouldn't be recording and things like that, I just put out a tweet without mentioning him. And what I said is, I've seen these allegations and I will make out my mind when everything is resolved. Like, I didn't go and I'll say, oh my god, you're disgusting, you're a creep, or anything like that. And because of that tweet, when I didn't even mention him, he blocked me. And I was like, yo, like, how do you have the time to go in your feed searching for your name for people that don't even mention you and go and block them? And I was like, in a way, kind of supporting him. Like, maybe he's innocent, we don't know. And he goes on and blocks me, and I'm just like, fuck you, man. Like, fuck you. And the critics, what you said, it's totally true. Like, go see the movie. If you don't like it, bash it. Trash the movie. But go see it. These critics are just fucking bloggers. They don't have any fucking idea of how film is made. It's simple. They haven't studied film. They haven't done film. They don't know shit. They just give their generic opinion that no one wants to hear. That's what that's what they do. Like, how can you like have faith in these people when some of the reviews are like, well, I've said this in other videos. I saw a review in Ant-Man and the Wasp that was, I don't know what is happening, but it was really fun. 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I'm a 40-year-old can write that. How can you have faith in Rotten Tomatoes when they admit, bloggers and critics, that are that lazy and that they don't even think? Like, Aquaman is bad. It's just actors pretending to swim in a fake scenario. That's not a critic review. You're not saying, oh, maybe the cinematography, maybe the dialogue, maybe the plot. That's shit that 7-year-olds talk about. Go see the movies by yourself and make out your mind. And if you like a movie, that's fine. And if you don't, that's fucking fine. But don't trust in people who don't know shit about films.
Exactly. Damn. All right, friend, let me ask you this. And I really, 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 I love this game, man. I loved I love this game. I loved every minute of it. I love seeing different characters in it. I love seeing who I expected to see in it, and I love seeing characters we haven't really seen before in it. Like Silver Sable, for example. Even seeing Wilson Fisk in it. What are your thoughts on the PS4 Spider-Man game, brother?
People don't hate me. I haven't finished the main story, and I don't
Oh
know
shit.
what happens in the end. I've been
Oh
lucky
shit.
not to see spoilers. I mean, I have like 90% of the main story completed, but I haven't
Mm-hmm.
finished it. What I have to say about the game is it's amazing. Like, I got the PS4 like in October or something like that, and I only have one game, and that's Spider-Man PS4. And man,
Mm-hmm.
that game, like I have the privilege of playing that game in 4K HDR in a 55-inch TV, and that's
Shit.
pure like orgasm. Like going through Manhattan, swinging by, all the colors are fucking amazing, the textures are fucking amazing, the story is fucking amazing, the
Facts.
characters, the character relationships are fucking amazing. Peter Parker
Facts.
is written so good, like so good.
Facts.
It could have been a fucking movie, and no one would have said that it is a video game. Like the way they handled all the characters, the human interactions, the gameplay, the way you swing through Manhattan, it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing, man. Like when you first take control and you go like fucking fast and go do like stunts and everything and jump from a skyscraper and then swing by, and I don't know, man. I think like it's like a 9.5 out of a 10 video game. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah. I know they're gonna do a sequel, but man, it's gonna be very hard to top. And I hope like with The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2, I hope they take their time doing the sequel, man, because ooh, that game is just through and through. It's impressive. Every detail, every character, like you said, is it's impressive, man. And friend, we're about to close, brother. I appreciate you rocking out with me on this vid, man. Things got heated, not in the sense that everybody likes to think negatively, but you know, I'm glad that we were able to disagree, but we were still able to, you know, stand by what we believe. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, in the end, we're just having fun, man. Like it's totally
Yeah.
cool to disagree on things. We're just having fun, having a great time, and seeing what people have to say about it. There's like no beef. There's no bad sentiments or anything. We're just having fun, saying maybe
Facts.
stupidities, maybe overacting, maybe. But the thing is that we do this because we love these characters, we love film, and we love having fun. And that's the end goal of everything, to have fun.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me ask you this, friend. And I know this one. I saved the sensitive questions for last. Um, and that is, why do you feel Venom almost grossed up $1 billion? And if we look at things from a Spider-Man film trilogy perspective, it is the highest grossing next to I think Spider-Man 3. Because it even out Venom outgrossed Homecoming, it outgrossed all the Amazing Spider-Man films, it outgrossed the first two Spider-Man films. Why do you feel Venom almost grossed $1 billion with I think 855 million?
I think because it's like a simple but new concept, and
Mm-hmm.
because in China they are fucking crazy, man. Like they go to the cinemas. Like almost every movie right now make its money in China. Like if in China
That's
they
true.
like a movie, it's done. Like in the Aquaman made like 350 million or something like that only on China. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And Venom did like 325 or something like that. Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now the market is in China, so Venom had like this interesting character, great action scenes, simple plot, simple characters, nothing spectacular, but it connected with audiences and people loved it. As simple as that. Something that critics may, I think that their heads are going to blow off or something. Normal movie connected with people, and people paid to see the movie, and critics were like, oh my god, how can this movie be so successful, and this is Catwoman level of bad. Jesus fucking Christ, I will never forget that. How can you say that this movie is like Catwoman level of bad? Like, no way, man. Like, it's not. I think that it made its money, and they earned that money because they were able to connect with people. That in the end, they make their money in the general public, not in the fans. The fans maybe were 20,000 people, 30,000 people, but the overall general audience is millions of people. And that's the thing, that connecting with audiences, it's not always easy, and when critics bash your movie in stupid levels, it's not that easy. And Venom was able to do that in such a successful way that there's now like a lot of new fans for the movie, and I've read that Venom 2 is going to start filming in November, so they're building their own cinematic universe despite critics. Warner Brothers. And you know, they were able to connect with audiences. That in the end is what really matters. It's as simple as that. I mean, I saw it and I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's a 27% movie. I think that maybe it's a 6 out of 10 or something like that. I don't think that it is a great movie, but I can see why people enjoy it, because it's simple and it really connects with you. As simple as that.
Okay. It really is, bro. Let me ask you this, and then we'll close, because a brother got the munchies. He needs some fried chicken with hot sauce. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How would you rank the movies? And you can include Venom and Into the Spider-Verse if you choose to, or we can just go off Spider-Man from 2002 to Spider-Man Homecoming.
All right. I want to say just one little funny thing. Here in Spain, when we say we have munchies, is because we have smoked weed or something like that. So when you get hungry after smoking, we call that the munchies.
Yeah, and not to piss off YouTube, but yeah, that's kind of a common thing with we'll say smokers. When you smoke, you get hungry, and that's why I first heard the term as well. But yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that the rank will be like, I mean, first one is Spider-Man 2, always. Second one is Spider-Man 1. Third one, Into the Spider-Verse. Fourth one, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Fifth one is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man. Sixth one is going to be Spider-Man 3, maybe. Yeah. And I mean, seventh one is going to be Venom or Homecoming. I can see the comment section. I can see people already typing in the comment section, but I think that I'm gonna put like Homecoming. I think that Homecoming is a better movie than Venom. But Venom is, I mean, it's the last one, alright, but I really enjoyed that movie. I enjoy every single Spider-Man movie, but obviously there are some of them that are better than others. What's your rank, bro?
First three, and I had to write this shit out. First three will be Spider-Man 2 is definitely number one. I don't know if it can be topped. It may with Into the Spider-Verse sequel, but I don't know. Second will be Into the Spider-Verse. Third is a toss-up between either I'm sorry, man. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 or Homecoming. Probably be the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and then Homecoming. Then after that will be Spider-Man 1. After that will probably be the Amazing Spider-Man 2. After that will probably be Venom, and then dead last is Emo Dancing 3. I mean, Spider-Man 3. And yeah, that's pretty much my ranking. But Spider-Man 2 is definitely still, to me, the top Spider-Man movie out there.
Yeah, it's not like only top Spider-Man movie, it's like top comic book movie ever.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them. Well, friend, man, we this is long as shit. I might have to break this into parts. This is long as shit, man. But I appreciate you stopping by. And ladies and gentlemen, I will leave a link to Fran's channel in the description. You guys go subscribe to his channel when you get done listening to this. And remember, don't get triggered, for we're only giving our opinions, and that's all it is, opinions. Yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Bye bye.